Give me one moment and I will get started and I will explain how everything is coming to you after the presentation. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ashley. I am the Dining Systems Specialist for Woodland Pond. I am going to be going through this presentation with you today. I have Phil here who's going to be helping if there are any questions during the Q&A, if we have time for Q&A at the end. There is not a handout for you today. We are looking to make a condensed version that can be double-sided or can be sent via email. Right now, there is a lot of information, and I am looking for feedback after the fact of what you actually would like on this handout. I didn't want to come with a bunch of papers and hand it to you and have them left places or have them not taken and then have to recycle them all. So I would rather hear from you after the fact what you would actually like in those handouts, and then I will absolutely get them to you via constant contact. I will send that through Lindsay, and if necessary, I will have physical copies available as well. So first, we're just going to quickly go through. For those of you, I feel like some of you probably already have access to this system. I will very briefly go through how to gain access to the system if you do not use it already. We'll briefly go through what your dashboard will look like, the information that you may want to use that is on your dashboard. We'll then go through the reservation process. There have been several changes within the last week to the reservation process. There are still changes being made and enacted, so bear with us as we go through that. And then I will go through some frequently asked questions that I have received, that Tanya and Ruth have received, and if we have time, we will have a brief Q&A with you all at the very end. First and foremost, if you are looking to gain access to this online system, you do not have an account yet, your first option is to email me directly. I am here Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. If I happen to be working from home, I can still access this system from home as well. I will send you a confirmation email when this is done. The confirmation will include the email that I used to create your account. It will include the website, because the automated information does not include the actual web address. And then I will also give you a brief overview of what you will find when you log in. If I am not here, if it is a weekend, after hours, maybe I'm out of the office, concierge can also set this up for you. You can email them, call them, stop by. They will get all of that set up for you. You will potentially be asked to activate your account and to verify your email address. This is because the system wants to make sure you actually want this to happen. If you want this to happen, maybe you and a spouse have two different emails, maybe you want one person in, not both of you, that's where you're going to essentially let us know, I did want this or I did not want this. You'll be asked to create your password, and then you'll be able to sign in. You do have several ways to access the website. So right now, this is the web address. I do not expect you to write that down or to see it, because it could be a little blurry as we get further back. You can access this through the resident portal on the Woodland Pond website. If you log into the resident portal, scroll down a little bit to dining services, that little arrow on the corner brings you directly to the login website. I'm briefly going to go through with you what your dashboard is going to look like once you have logged in. I need to be mobile for this, excuse me. So when you log in, you're going to see a screen just like this. Your email address, your password, you'll click sign in. You're going to come to a page that's like this. I understand this is not an easy page to see currently. I couldn't see it when I was testing this afternoon, so I will try my best to explain what we're looking at here. This is your main homepage. At the very top, it will say, hi, whoever you are. It's nice to see you again. So when Betsy logs in, it'll say, hi, Betsy Tool. It's nice to see you again. Up here, right in the middle section, you have your account balance, which is any overages that you may have accrued. So any type of balance, if you maybe went over your decline, that's the amount that is being added to your monthly bill. So you can keep tabs on that. The center section next to that is your prepaid balance, which we call the decline balance. That is where you can keep real-time tabs on what your decline balance looks like. You can see that updated as soon as you leaving from lunch or dinner and checking as soon as you get home. Those numbers will match. Everything will be updated in real time. Just underneath those here, we have this section, which we're going to talk about first, which is your order history. And next to that, we have your making a reservation. I'm briefly going to go through order history because I have found a handful of residents as well as a handful of staff members who have asked, I don't know where this receipt went, or I need this receipt because I am charging someone for a catering or for an event. Billing and marketing needs to know how many people dined at a specific date because they comped them a meal essentially. So they need to know how much they have to pay for that meal after the fact, but they don't have those receipts. So if for any reason you would like to look over your receipts, when you are on this dashboard, you're going to click this little black icon here. It's like a folded piece of paper. It says order history. When you do that, you're going to get a list similar to this. It's going to give you the date and the time. It's going to show you where you placed your order. If you were in the main dining room, the pub, the bistro, it'll show you how much the order was for. If for any reason you then want to open and see a copy of this receipt, maybe you want to know who your server was because they were excellent and you just forgot their name and you want to give them an applaud. On the side here is view details. These little green magnifying glasses, if you click the corresponding magnifying glass, you're going to see a copy of that receipt. All of your information will be there just like it was printed for you at your dinner or your lunch service. So I understand that it's very small, but this is exactly what you get printed. The date and the time, what you ordered, the total that you were charged. If you have an account balance, if you have your prepaid balance there, everything will be loaded. And at the very bottom, it will say that you have been served by, this person was served by Griffin. We love Griffin. You do have an option to email this receipt to yourself. If for some reason you need to be able to print that for maybe to go to billing because you have questions about charges, you can email it to yourself and even forward it to billing. Or if you have questions for Tanya or I because you think you were overcharged, you can forward them to us as well. Making reservations. From the homepage, you see an icon like this, little calendar says make a reservation. If you click on that, it brings you to this screen. What would you like to reserve? Your only option right now is the main dining room. I'm going to cover that in the frequently asked questions section because I get a lot of questions about that. And it's a very simple answer, I promise. But you're going to click on main dining room and it's going to bring you to the calendar. This is going to show you all of the dates that are currently available for service. This I pulled a couple of days ago. We now have dates available into the beginning of November. So you have some more time there. So you're going to go ahead, you're going to select whatever date you're looking to make those reservations. And on the next page, you're going to select how many people you would like to have your reservation with. You can make a selection for just yourself if you're not sure who you want to eat with, or you want Ruth or Mary to maybe just put you at a table with somebody new. If you know who you're going to eat with, you can put the 3 or 4 of you that are going to be there. And then on the next page, it's going to ask you what time you want to dine. This is different as of maybe a week ago. When you get to this page, you're going to see that there are 2 different sections for dinner. The first section, which is currently highlighted in green, says dinner 4:45 to 5:45. The way the system has been updated because of the way the reservations are changing in November is that these reservations from 4:45 to 5:45, that's where those extra tables are going to be at every seating. So they announced maybe 2 weeks ago that we're going to be having an additional table at the first handful of seatings that we have to try to accommodate more people. That's where those seats are going to live. The second box says dinner from 6 to 6:30. That is where we revert back to how the reservations currently are. So we don't have the extra tables at those seatings right now. So we see it on 2 different slides. All you have to do is just click to either one. You can see all of the time frames that are available. Select whichever one is appropriate for what you're looking for. And then you get to this page. Now, very briefly, this bottom section here, would you like to let us know who will be with you? That was a new feature that we had added. Unfortunately, it did not do what we were promised it would do. So it has now since been inactivated. What I will say is that the thought process behind this was that you could type in the names of the people that you were dining with. So if I was going to go in and I was going to have dinner, my name is in here. I could add Betsy's name, and then I could click more guests, and I could add June, and then I could click more guests, and I could add Deborah Moore, and then I would hit submit, and all of us would be listed, and I would know exactly who I was eating dinner with that day. Unfortunately, that information did not relay to the host desk, which I will cover in the frequently asked question bit, because Ruth has got a lot of questions about this in the brief time that this was activated. So right now, it doesn't exist on the website, so we're going to pretend that's not there. What we do ask, if you know who you will be dining with, use this special instructions section. Type in last name. You can type in first name, first initial, last name, just any identifying information. So if you are having outside guests, if you are having family, you can type family. If you are having friends from the outside, you can write friends, please close. If you know that you are having dinner with Vivian Stoner and Pat Hauk, you can write Stoner and Hauk. And then when you hit submit, this is who I was inviting to dinner. I've been watching a lot of MASH lately. Once you hit submit, you should, I say should, be getting a confirmation email. 50% of the time this works, 50% of the time it does not. Sometimes it comes immediately. It's only if your email is loaded. If you have the online account, your email should already be loaded in there. We shouldn't have any issues. Handful of folks, the email is loaded because they have their account, but they're still not getting the email, so we're working that on our end. It seems to be a email server issue. But you should get this confirmation booking. So you will get the reservation information, the date, the time, how many you reserved it for, and that list that you wrote in the special instructions section. Which means when Ruth opens the hostess desk, this is what her view is. Now she is seeing that I have made my reservation for the 10th at 6:30, and these are the 3 other people that are eating with me. She sees all of the information in there. You also have a list of all of the information, so you're not keeping track of text messages and emails and written calendars and little post-it notes. That way everything is there. Everybody has all of the information necessary. Obviously, things change, people cancel. You can still call and let Ruth know. She will make the necessary adjustments. So now you've made your reservation, but now you don't remember when your reservation is. So you leave here today and you say, you know, I think I have a reservation at 5, but I don't know if I have a reservation at 5 or 5:15. So if you go back to this homepage, it's a little difficult to see, but in the top corner of your dashboard, there's a section that says My Reservations. If you click on that, it's going to bring you a list of all of your current and future reservations. This is a little outdated because I did this a couple days ago, but this said, I did this on the 27th, so I did this yesterday. So this was my day of reservation. These are some future reservations that I have. If for any reason, I will go over this in a little more detail in the frequently asked questions section. If for any reason you're looking at this list and you say, I know I have a reservation tonight, why isn't it here? If you click up on this corner, it says View History. It brings you to all of your past reservations. So as you get closer to dinner service, the system itself recognizes what time it is and recognizes dinner service for the day has started. We are now looking to new days, so it moves it to your past reservations. You may not have actually had dinner yet, but you're still having dinner. We've just moved it to a different screen. Everything is still there. There are a few caveats to that, which I will cover momentarily, but that's where you can find all of your past reservations. Some frequently asked questions that Ruth and Tanya and I have gotten. Why am I being asked, what would you like to reserve if my only option is the main dining room? Short answer, when we started using Visual Touch back in 2023, the thought was to also have reservations for lunch service. We thought that it would maybe streamline things, put a little less heat on the kitchen, especially during the busier months. Usually you notice October, November, December, there's a big uptick in how many people come to lunch because they're trying to burn out their declines before the end of the year. We love having you all there, but we were trying to find a way to balance that out for them. We also found that trying to make those reservations at lunch ended up becoming a little more restrictive than we wanted it to. As of right now, we have the ability and we have the capability of staff to accommodate as lunch service is happening now. So we put a pin in that and we're waiting until we actually get to the new dining system to revisit that. Why were the reservation times wrong when I tried to make reservations on November 1st? So for any of you that tried to make reservations on November 1st, the very first day those reservations became available, you may have noticed it said the first reservation time was 4:45 a.m., not 4:45 p.m. Fun fact, that was me. I was just testing you. No, about 2 months ago, randomly, somehow, Visual Touch stopped operating on a 12-hour format and moved to a 24-hour format. So even though I typed in 4:45 p.m., it didn't register that as a real time, so it made it a.m. I promise I fixed it. Everything looks fine now. What do I do if I try and make a reservation, but each time I enter gives me the notification that there are no available time slots? I am positive that anyone who has used this system at some point has seen this notification. No available time slot found for your selection. Please change your selection and try again. At this time, that means that the reservation system has either met the capacity of tables or the capacity of residents for that time slot. That doesn't mean that will always be the case. It just means that we have to go in and take a look and see if we can reorganize and rearrange people. It may have registered a party of 2 who would like to join another table. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to move tables and create new tables to sort of accommodate and open seats as much as we can. It's not a perfect system, but we do what we can. So if you get this notification, call Ruth or Mary, depending on when you're calling. Stop down to the host desk, ask them to take a look for you. They will always find a place to put you. Also give them a little grace because it may not be right at the time you are hoping for, but maybe 15 minutes before or 15 minutes after. But they will always do their best to get you in. This is kind of not a valid question any longer, but I got this for a couple days. Why am I getting a call from the host desk asking who I'm dining with if I already entered that information? So back on this screen, people were utilizing this. There were a handful of people that were very excited about it, a lot of people who didn't use it, and that's okay too. But the problem that we were having was after the resident made the reservation, the resident was seeing this. So they're seeing their reservation, they're seeing the names of the people that they're eating with, and they're like, great, my job is done. Ruth has all of the information she needs. Mary has everything she needs. They're not going to call me. But what was happening is Ruth and Mary open the POS, and there is no reservation information. They just saw the number of people and who made it, but not who they were eating with. So that's why we have now eliminated this section. There was also information that we were given that if we were adding people to that section, the guests would get an email. And that email would say, you've been invited to dinner on this date with this person. 2% of the time that email went out. That's an across-the-board issue that several Visual Touch locations are having. A lot of those locations have unenabled this option. Bugs happen. Eliminating it seemed like the easiest option, made lives a little bit easier. Why can't I see my reservation when I check my reservations online? So I brought up the first instance already. Day of reservation, you know you have a reservation, it's not listed. Check the view history. because if we are already in the process of doing service, it has already moved to the next day. So now it's in your past history, but it is still there, it is still active. There is another instance that your reservation could be missing. If you know for a fact that you made a reservation, let's say for tonight, today's Tuesday, and you checked your reservations yesterday, and you don't have a reservation on Tuesday anymore. It's not in your future, it's not in your past because it hasn't happened yet. Why don't I have a reservation? What is happening is maybe you made a reservation that said, I'm open to sit with anyone, or please put me anywhere. Or you just made a reservation for yourself, which tells Ruth and Mary, you can seat me with an open table. What they have done is they have taken the largest existing table at that time frame, which maybe has 3 people, 2 people already in it. They have eliminated your reservation and added you as a guest to that table. Right now, the issue we are having is that there is not a way for us to link your existing reservation to that new table. So it looks as if you don't have reservations anymore. Contact the host desk. You absolutely still have a reservation. It just may have been moved because you are now, quote unquote, a guest. This is something that I have been working with Visual Touch on for the last 6 weeks now. It is in development. I do not have a time frame on when we will be able to actually link one reservation to multiple accounts. I will keep you posted. Why is there a number on my reservation for tonight and not MDR? So right now, the venue that is listed, if you look at your future reservations for dinner, says MDR, stands for main dining room, because that's the only location that you guys have right now. But this person logged in last night, and all of a sudden it says 10. That's your table number. Ruth or Mary or Monique has already gone through the list of reservations, and they've started assigning you your tables already. This way, the wait staff has an updated list. They know which tables are going to be in their section, so they can preload all of their tables. They can get all of the resident information entered already, so that the moment you guys sit down, they're not fumbling and asking, and your name, please. Could I see your tag? I'm not sure what your last name is. Let me get all of this set up ahead of time to now streamline your service. So now the first thing that they can ask you is, what kind of roll would you like tonight, and what can I get you to drink? This one is my favorite. I call or email the host desk at 5 a.m., but I can't always get the time I want for dinner. Why? I thoroughly understand the question. Unfortunately, this has come from several people who do not utilize the online reservation system. So I want to give you some rough numbers that I gathered yesterday. Roughly 274 residents in independent living alone. As of this morning, 167 of those residents have an active online account with the reservation system. 107 do not. Of those 107, I think I have gotten 7 emails, all from different folks, asking this very same question. Unfortunately, there is nobody manning the host desk 24/7. We don't have somebody who can access this system, who can input reservations after hours. We don't have the capability to access this system from home for the reservations, but we also don't have a way for them to check voicemails from home. So yes, you absolutely called. The timestamp on the voicemail says 5:15 a.m., but our hostess doesn't usually get in until about 10 or 10:30. So a lot of things can happen. A lot of people can make reservations between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. when Ruth walks in the door. Leave her the message still. If you're resistant to using this system, that's okay. But leave her the message anyway. She is going to take a look at what's in there. She is going to try and find you something that will fit you. It'll either be the exact time you're looking for, because she could rearrange tables, or it's going to be an offer of something maybe 15 minutes before or after. Try and be flexible if you can. They're going to do the best they can. Why does the Woodland Pond website say I can make my reservations and place meal orders when online ordering is not an option? So right now, this is what the dining service portal says. This portal allows residents to easily create their own dinner reservations and order their meals for pickup and delivery. Also has my information in case you need access to this portal. The issue that we have with that is a big one. The plan was to offer online ordering for lunch service as well as for dinner service, hoping to cut down on the amount of menus that we were printing for to-goes, hoping to sort of cut down on the amount of the paper trail, the amount of papers that we would need to put into the goose paper to try to reuse so that it wasn't super wasteful. The issue that we have with that currently is that the system is not set up in a way that makes it cohesive for the kitchen. I am troubleshooting. I am running as many tests as I can with the time that I have. But right now, our current system is that Ruth or Mary or whoever is covering, if either of them are off, right around 1, maybe 1:30, are taking a stack, generally between 40 and 60 pages, of orders for the next day. They take these into the back and they fill out a tally sheet, and that tally sheet breaks down every menu item on the to-go menu, including the special orders. Someone who wanted to sub out one of their sides, every type of bread option for all of the sandwiches, any type of protein option for any of the entree salads. She breaks everything down, tallies them out, gives us full counts. So the next morning, our cold food prep guy takes his copy and he sees I have to make 12 ham sandwiches. I have to make 12 Caesar salads, 2 of them with chicken, 4 of them with tofu, 1 of them with salmon, maybe 1 of them with shrimp, and the rest are plain. And then our kitchen staff comes in that work on the line. And they say I have to make 32 of this entree, 27 of this entree. I need to make 14 of this entree, but we also want to have a couple extra just in case maybe somebody was away and they come back and now they want something, but they don't want to sit down for dinner. They just want to take it to go. So they take this and it is their Bible every day. And they say, all right, this is everything that I have to prepare. When we run this through the visual touch system and all of these online orders come, they come the day of. So you've placed it the day before, but we don't get to see it ahead of time. When we see all of those numbers at, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning when the staff comes in, we don't get those numbers until 1 o'clock. Now they don't know how much they had to prepare. Now they don't know if they should over prepare, but if they over prepare, what happens to the extra? Because we can't serve it that night because it'll sit too long. So then do we serve it and do we box it and do we make it a to-go meal in the pub, or do we just keep it and we give it to the staff? How do we cut down on the waste? What also happens is when these tickets and these receipts print out, they print out in 4 different locations because of where everything is prepped during meal service. So when I did these test orders, I tested it with 10 fake accounts that we have. All of the soups and the side salads went to the printer over in the wait station because that's where they get prepped during dinner service. All of the entrees and the entree salads went to the line because that's where they go. Anyone who ordered a sandwich or maybe a quesadilla, when that's that sandwich option, it actually printed out in the bistro because we only serve those during lunch. So that's the closest location that it had. And then when it comes to desserts or the fruit cups or the parfaits, it printed on a separate receipt, also in the wait station. But because we were seeing multiple names, wait staff were throwing out the other ones because they thought they were duplicates. So now we're missing half of our orders. Now we don't know where everything's going. We forget that the bistro exists and now none of the sandwiches are there. It's a lot. So I'm trying to find a way to make it much easier so that we can move toward eventually offering that online ordering. We do not have a perfect system. We both know that it is not a perfect system, but we absolutely do the best that we can. We have some time. I do have a hard stop because I have another appointment, but we have, I would say, about 20, 25 minutes for Q&A. So if any of you have questions, please raise your hand. Phil will come and visit you.
Making the reservation, the two fields, and I'm probably not holding it close enough because everybody says that. The two fields, telephone number and comments. Now, you said you want the name of a person that you've already had, that we wish to dine with in the comments section, and the telephone number is always the same. Is there any way of putting those in the personal database rather than having them default to blanks or prompts?
Let me go back so I can take a look at what are you talking about this page?
Yes, but it's the one that's blocked where it said, well, okay, no, you have this squared thing for the name of the additional people. Then above that, it says telephone number.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those could easily be set to the I don't know how easy it is. You're the programmer, but how easy would it be to set the telephone number, say, to the telephone number that accompanies that a person's account? And could you default the the comments or additional to another person, something useful?
So for those that you can't hear, the question was, can we default adding the phone number to the account? And can we default adding somebody's information in the special instructions section, correct? Okay. The phone number is not something that we utilize. It's not something that was necessary for sign up. It can be added to all of the accounts. And then in that case, it would automatically show up with your account specifically. In that special instructions section, that's a global section. So if we were to change what it says there, it would change it for everyone. So generally, if you are making a reservation for you and your spouse, you include two, but you don't necessarily make a note. 9 times out of 10, we know it's because you're eating with your spouse. And if for some reason you're making a reservation for 2 because maybe you're cranky at your spouse because they snored all night, then you can let us know who you're going to eat with instead. Yeah.
In my system, the telephone number is always there. And furthermore, I use many repeated guests and they are always there. All I need to do is start off like with Nye houses, it pops right in.
So what she's saying is that her phone number is always there and that the names of the people that she eats with are always there. That is actually because of your internet browser. So that is your cookie. That is the data collection that we do. So it recognizes you start typing in, let's say, Nye House. It's going to notice and it's going to say, oh, you've checked this name before. Do you mean this? And it's going to give you a list. That's not specific to the system.
Anyone else? Okay, now I do have a question.
For it.
You have an edit button. Every time I hit that edit button, it says, what do you want to change in your reservation? But it doesn't give me the ability to like put 6 people instead of 4. Mine only goes up to a max of 4.
Correct.
Heaven forbid if I happen to put the wrong name in, I can't change that either. I can't do anything with that edit.
So the question was, there is an edit button from your reservation page. So when you're checking your reservations, oh, I went the wrong way. When you're checking your reservations and you're taking a look at that list, it's a little further. Oh no, it's right here. There's an edit section. The question is, why can't I edit it to be a table of 6? Right now, because of the number of times we are getting requests for large tables, that has to be monitored manually by the host desk to make sure that we spread it out across time frames. So we can't sit there and include a 6-top option because that could turn into 5 6-tops at 4:45, but then the option is still available for 5 o'clock. So now we have 4 more 6-tops and a 4-top. And it turns into a little bit of chaos. It turns into some backup for the wait staff, and we want to try and streamline service as much as we can. So we kind of leave that to Ruth right now. We are looking at how we will change and alter things once we get into the new dining program that we have. But for right now, those parties of anything over 4 really will have to go through Ruth.
I already use that where you put in the person's name and it's on my list. The name's on my list. Does that mean that Ruth does not know about those names? Should I go and correct that with her? That
Are you
one.
talking about this one
The one under the green sticker.
up here?
No, you see where the green?
Yeah, you've utilized this,
I usually.
and now you see the names when you look at your list.
Mm-hmm.
If Ruth has not called you, she does not know.
She does not.
She does not. We are looking.
See.
I am looking through to try and see if there's a way I can pull metrics on who has utilized that so that I can help her make less phone calls, but she may still call you.
I have the reservation system on my computer and I've been using it, but it is slightly different. It was put on by the former IT person. Should I continue to use that or change over?
The website is different?
No, the dining, it's not exactly the same as you show it here. Most of the information is there, but it may be slightly differently formatted.
It may have been an update in formatting. This also may be because when I pulled screenshots, my dashboard looks a little bit different than yours because I can shadow as all of your accounts just in case you're having issues. So it may be because of that. Okay. So you should still be fine. We haven't had any issues with your reservations.
Coming over.
Run, Phil, run.
I am so confused. First of all, I'm not computer savvy, but it seems to me this is a new system, right? That you're trying to push through. It's so confusing. I mean, it looks to me like you spend your time at the computer about 3 or 4 hours figuring it out.
It looks that way.
Let me finish. What if I don't have that computer, which I don't use anymore? Do I continue doing what I've been doing all along here, going up to the desk and making a reservation? Are we still going to be allowed to do that?
Oh, yeah, we're absolutely not taking that ability away from you.
Okay.
We absolutely understand there are residents who will not want to use this system, and that is absolutely okay. It's just with the understanding that as long as the system that you're currently using, going to see Ruth, maybe with a list of dates,
Have no problem with that.
That's absolutely fine. You are absolutely able to continue doing that.
And she's great, by the way.
Yes, she is. She's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I sat here and thought, why did I come to this meeting?
Be a part of the group,
I
right?
guess so.
Thank you. Is that loud enough?
Just put it close to your mouth.
Okay. Okay, is this better? Good. We may be spreading germs, but you know. Okay, I have a problem. It's not something we've even touched on. These big meals where you have 7 to 10 or 12 or more people at a table, it creates a very unpleasant atmosphere for the rest of the people in the dining room. In other words, we have this loud, people are having wine and having a great time, which is good, but it creates a stress for people who aren't in that group. And it may create a stress for the waiters. I don't know. I'm wondering if there could be limited to a certain number a day or locations that aren't in the main dining room.
So the question in the statement was, there are a handful of large tables, 7 tops, 8 tops, that, are very lively, and it can cause a little bit of upset for the smaller tables around them. Maybe there's an issue with how loud they are. Maybe there's just an issue in general with the congestion because of the large table. She would like to know if we can limit how many we do or where we put them. That is something that we can bring to dining committee. That's not necessarily something that can be addressed here today, but it is something that we can take note of. We are generally 50-50 split as a Woodland Pond population. Half of us would like to limit either where or how many of those large tables we offer. Half of us think that it's great and everybody should just be fine with it. But we understand that there are definitely some differences that we'd like to try to address as much as possible. So when we go to dining committee next week, we can bring this to the table.
We try to book a table about 10 days in advance, and there was not anything available for 1, 2, 3, or 4 for that date. And then you say we should go to Ruth. Why is it that we can't get it online? I mean, it sort of defeats the system. What people are doing, obviously, is signing up 2 weeks in advance and then I guess canceling eventually. There has to be enough tables to take care of everybody. There should be in every seating every day.
So
Not every time,
Sure.
but at least sometime that day.
Could all of you hear that question? All right. So right now, yes, 10 days in advance, theoretically, you would think you would be able to find a table. I want to just go back to something that I touched on with the reservation system. The reservation system recognizes the capacity that we hit first. So we either hit a capacity of reservations, so the number of people, or we hit a capacity of tables. I have adjusted so that it reaches the capacity of residents first rather than the tables, because what we were running into, still again, not a perfect system, but what we were running into is that you would have 4 or 5 tables at a seating and maybe a 2 top and a 4 top, and somebody called to make a 6 top, and then somebody wanted a 4 top, and now it looks like all of your tables are full. So what we've done is we've gone through and we've tried to adjust it so that it reaches the resident capacity first and then the table capacity after. So it's still not a perfect system. We may not be able to figure it all out right this moment, but it is something that's on my radar, and it is something that I have been in touch with Visual Touch about. But Ruth or Mary or Monique or even Tanya, absolutely go see them. Maybe even give them a call. They will absolutely be able to assist you.
And just to add to that, specifically because you brought this up a few times, we have added more tables to be open up for the reservation system starting November 1st. So hopefully that helps alleviate some of the issue.
Is this presentation going to be available for someone to read? Read as a script? Because I had a very hard time following what you were saying because I couldn't really read that, and you were speaking quite fast. So, you know, I'm not the only one who's slow on the draw with their ears.
So the question was, is this going to be available to read or to view again after the fact? And the answer is yes. This was just a brief overview of everything that we are offering. There will be information that will be sent out. It is being recorded, and I will be able to speak with Lindsay to see if we can maybe get a copy of the summary that gets sent out, but there will be information that will be given to you either electronically or physically. Do we have any other questions? Right here, Phil.
Where we go?
Second row.
Hard to find me, I'm so short. This is not a question, it's a comment. When Ruth sees me coming, I'm sure she shudders because I'm always getting terribly confused. But I must say, Ruth and the rest of the people who handle the reservations are so gracious and so helpful that I walk away sometimes being totally embarrassed that I'm the real dummy in the crowd. But
Not at all. The start of the comment was just a comment for Ruth and the staff that work at the host desk. That essentially, if when they see her coming, that she's sure they're concerned because she's usually got some questions. They are never going to be upset with you asking a question. They're never going to be upset if you're asking to confirm a date or a time. They're not going to be upset if you have to cancel a reservation or if you want to try to squeeze it in. They're more than happy to help you. There are a handful of you that they see coming, and they know they're going to see you that day, and they'll make a list already. And they'll be like, don't forget, I have your reservations just in case. I don't want you to forget. They are more than happy to help you out.
And we appreciate the compliments. They work hard.
The gentleman in the back asked about making reservations 2 weeks in advance. I don't understand that. Is there a certain date that, like, say, November 1st, you have 2 weeks to make your reservation? Then, if you don't make it within those 2 weeks, then you're out of luck?
The way the reservation system is currently set is that you have up to 2 weeks to make your reservation, and we stop taking online reservations 2 days beforehand. So today is the 28th. So on Sunday of this past Sunday, you were not able to make reservations for today. Those would have to go right through Ruth. That's because we want to go through and make sure that we have all of the edits done. We make sure if we have open seats or open tables, we can get back to people who have asked if we have any openings.
So you can make a reservation for 2 weeks in advance, but no further than that. The reservation system only opens up for 14 days from today.
Depends on how many reservations are in the system.
Yeah, the reservation platform will be open and available, but if your time slot is fully booked, it will ask you to make a different time slot.
And I will add to that while it's still quite a ways away, we just opened reservations, I think, for November 10th and 11th. Ruth and Mary are already going in days in advance to make sure there's no duplicate reservations, to make sure that if there's open seats, they're moving people around to try to keep them open. So it is something they're checking daily, but it just may not be updated the moment that you've checked it.
I think that if people know they have a birthday or an event coming up for their floor, that would be great if there was somebody in that group would see that there was a reservation made with maybe a note, birthday or something, that so it's not that changeable.
She said that if there is a group at a table where a resident maybe has a birthday, it may be nice for us to know in advance to put a note that it is whomever's birthday so that we can note that when we're at dinner service. That is absolutely something that we can utilize, we can do. It's at the reservation maker's discretion. So if you are talking to Ruth about maybe making a 10 top table because your next door neighbor's birthday is that day, you can absolutely let us know whose birthday it is, and we'll absolutely make sure that we accommodate for the birthday. We've got candles in the back. All right, it looks like that's all we've got. Phil, do you have anything?
Did we find this like we got something out of it? Are you glad we did it? Did you learn anything? That's all, Ashley. Big round of applause for Ashley.
Thank you. There's cookies and refreshments outside.
For those of you who came just for them. Thank you, everybody.